It's the 108th playing of golf's only all-professional major, the PGA Championship. This week, it's the PGA of America's Grand Slam event, with 156 professionals converging at Aronimink Golf Club near Philadelphia, and the storied Wanamaker Trophy waits on Sunday. Rory McIlroy seeks his second major of the year after adding another green jacket in April, while world number one Scottie Scheffler is back to defend his PGA title from 2025 at Quail Hollow. Cameron Young and Matt Fitzpatrick have 5 wins between them already this season, making up the other half of 2026's Big Four, and lurking is Jordan Spieth, who once again attempts to complete the career Grand Slam. Will it be one of those stars or a first-timer? The answers will reveal themselves over the next 4 days and 72 holes at the PGA Championship. Welcome to the PGA Championship tonight on Westwood One, sponsored in part by Prevagen. Prevagen made for your brain. I'm Whit Watson, joined today by Brendon de Jonge. In the next half hour, we'll hear from some of the contenders and examine Aronimink, which has hosted a senior PGA and a women's PGA championship in the past, and now hosts the men's PGA for the first time since 1962. Brendon with us from Newton Square, Pennsylvania. I'll ask you about the golf course a little bit later, but let's start with this competition, this second men's major of the season. Seems like there are 4, maybe 5 players that are being singled out as contenders this week. How competitive do you expect this to be?
I think it's going to be very competitive. With obviously we are talking about 4 or 5 big names, but I think we can look deeper than that. I think there's a lot of names that haven't been mentioned that are going to have a good chance, and I think a big part of that is because of this golf course. It's not overly long by today's standards. It's got plenty of length, but not overly long by today's standards. And right now the golf course is pretty firm and fast, and I think it's even the guys that don't bomb it now have a pretty good chance this week. I know they're calling for a little bit of rain this evening. Hopefully we don't get too much and it continues to dry out.
That was one of my next questions, Brendon, is the weather forecast in the Philadelphia area. In 2018, when the Tour played there, it was wet, and the golf course really had no resistance. In other years, it's played over par when the PGA Tour came to town. So what are we expecting this week?
Yeah, I think it's going to get a little bit of rain. We're not going to get a ton. The weather forecast has actually gotten a little bit better than it was originally supposed to be. It keeps pushing back a little bit. I think the early morning starters tomorrow might have to deal with a little bit of rain. But, we're talking maybe 0.3 of an inch. It's not really a whole lot. It's not going to be enough to really soak this place by any means. And I will say this, it has been absolutely howling all day today. It's been very, very windy out here. You can feel the golf course drying under your feet, and there's more of the same forecast tomorrow. I think we're supposed to get some pretty strong breezes. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be soft the way it was back in 2018.
Scottie Scheffler, the defending champion, 11 under last year at Quail Hollow, won by 5. This year, a win at the American Express and 3 straight second-place finishes in his last 3 starts, the Masters, the RBC Heritage, and the Cadillac Championship. Here is Scottie Scheffler with Gary Williams.
Scottie, your record in all the majors since you became exempt is excellent, but you have the most top 8s in this, including obviously winning last year. Do you have any theory as to why this championship agreed with you from the beginning, 2020, when you finished 4th, your first top 5 in a major?
Yeah, I'm not really sure on why that is. I think I'm always trying to just do my best and see where that puts me. And I look at my first, like you said, my first one. I think I played in the final group that week, which was a big step for me at that point in my career. I think that was the middle of COVID, and I got paired with DJ for the final round. So for me at the time, he was maybe number 1 player in the world, like if not top 5, and I grew up watching him, and all of a sudden, fast forward a couple of years out of college, I'm playing the final group of a major. That was, I would say, kind of a big stepping stone in my career. And like you said, I've had a little bit of success at this tournament, and it was nice to be able to get the win last year.
The surrounds here with all the bunker clusters, you have these tongues and strips of dense grass between these smaller bunkers, and then you have these tightly mown areas as well. Do you think the variety of little short shots will be part of the examination this week, whereas before there were bigger bunkers, and now he's reinstalled about 70 or 80 bunkers?
Yeah, I think they'll definitely be part of the story. I think when you start hitting shots offline out here, there's some spots where you can get away with it, and there's some other spots where you might get some pretty severe penalties. And so, like you said, there's a big difference between when you have heavy rough in between bunkers. There's a big difference between your ball stopping on the downslope and the heavy rough versus going into the flat of the bunker with a pretty similar shot. So there's a little bit of a chance when it comes to that, but like you said, the variety will definitely be playing a factor in it.
Have a great week.
All right, thanks.
Of the so-called Big Four right now on the PGA Tour, that is numero uno, Scottie Scheffler, the world number one, speaking with Gary Williams. Brendon, your thoughts on Scottie's game as he comes in red hot this week?
Yeah, you're always going to really like Scottie, regardless of what the venue is like, and obviously comes in playing well with the three straight solo seconds. I think this golf course plays a lot into the hands of Scottie Scheffler. The difficulty is around the greens. Scottie is very, very disciplined. He will not take on flag sticks that you're not supposed to. The course management, one of his biggest strengths, and that's saying a lot because he has a lot of them. But we will see Scottie manage his game probably better than anybody else out there. Of course, you have to like Scheffler's chances this weekend. I think he comes in with, I don't want to say a little chip on his shoulder with the 3 second-place finishes, but no doubt wants to add to that major tally of his.
Do you think course management is the key? Is discipline the key around Aronimink this week?
I think so, Whit. You know, I've walked the golf course a couple times now, and there's a couple flag sticks out there that you just cannot take on, because if you do miss just by a little bit, it can quickly lead to a big number. So, you know, if you want one of those guys that gets off to a little bit of a slow start, maybe you're a couple over par, and you start chasing some of these flag sticks, that's where you're going to end up in trouble. So it's going to be key to remain disciplined out there, to remain patient, and well, we know Scheffler does that better than anybody else.
We'll have more with Brendon de Jonge when we come back later in the show. A look at tee times on Thursday, and there are some heavyweight groupings in round number one. You're listening to the PGA Championship tonight on Westwood One.
It's a tap in. It's back-to-back for McIlroy. Rory has done it again at Augusta National. He's just the fourth man in the history of the Masters to win it back-to-back.
Welcome back to the PGA Championship tonight on Westwood One. Taylor Zarzour on Sirius XM in April as Rory McIlroy won his second green jacket in as many years, seeking to become the first player since Jordan Spieth in 2015 to win the first 2 majors in a season. Rory McIlroy speaking with our Gary Williams.
Rory, the last 2 years, first it was Xander and then Scottie have won 2 majors in that calendar year. Are you surprised, though, that nobody yet, since this major was moved to May, has picked off 2 in a row?
Not really. I think, look, the Masters is such a massive tournament and like a massive release. And I think I think if you've just won your first Masters, I think it's very, very difficult going into the PGA. I think if it's your second time or multiple time, it makes it a little bit easier because you've dealt with it all before. So, yeah, like Scottie going into the PGA in 24, for example, or me this year, I think having been through everything post-Augusta, it makes coming in here a little bit easier. But I'm not surprised. It's a quick turnaround. And, you know, you have to, you want to enjoy that as well. I mean, you want to enjoy it, but at the same time, you have to get right back on the horse and get yourself ready.
Last thing, you said something interesting in your press conference about all of these renovations and restorations. It's like there's a baseline for yardage, and then it reduces the strategy down to just bashing driver. Do you have any ideas on other ways that you can restore, renovate a golf course for a major championship, that it's not just about yardage?
I would say, look, I think yes, but it has to do with conditions. I mean, if we got weather like this every day and the turf conditions got a little bit firmer, so the fairways started to play a little bit narrower because the ball's running, the greens started to have a little bit of bounce and run out in them, it starts to become a real test. But I think the issue is coming to the Northeast in May, it's hard to guarantee that you're going to get firm conditions. So then you have to look at other things like Do you bring the fairways in a little bit? Do you... I think another thing that challenges professional golfers more than anything else is giving them options, like having to make decisions. So I would say there's a lot of tee shots in this course where you don't have to make a decision. I think giving them decisions. So even the 13th hole, for example, this week, that's going to be moved up a couple days. You give someone a decision. Oh, do I go for the green? Do I not? There's OB left. Like that sort of stuff starts to play with the player's head. So the more you can give that, or you give them the opportunity to make that a decision where you get them in two minds, that's where you start to, that's a big test for professional golf. And it isn't just to do with yardage. Obviously yardage is a part of it, but you know, like the 15th hole this week is going to be 545 or whatever it is, but you know, you're still, you know, that's not, it's a part of the game. It shouldn't be all of it. But I think what's happening is these renovated courses, there's just less strategy off the tee, which is, look, that plays right into my hands. I'm happy to bash driver and go get it and figure it out from there. But I think there needs to be more to it than that.
Have a great week.
Thank you.
Rory McIlroy speaking with Gary Williams, talking about Aronimink, laid out in the 1920s by Donald Ross and obviously has been restored in the years since. Whit Watson with Brendon de Jonge. And Brendon, it sounds like McIlroy might be considering a career in golf course design. Very thoughtful when it comes to talking about Aronimink. He is, according to Scotty Scheffler, Rory is the best driver of the golf ball on the planet right now. How important is that around this golf course?
Yeah, I think it is important, Whit. The golf course is pretty generous off the tee, so the guys that do spray it a little bit, they're probably going to find a few more fairways than they typically would, but yeah, no, it certainly will be key, and more so when you get into the back nine. The front nine is very, very generous off the tee. Back nine, there are a couple holes where it pinches in a little bit, and there are a couple of the longer holes where you really do have to find the fairway. And I know Rory said he's going to bash driver everywhere, but I was talking to Padraig Harrington a little bit today, and he said, you know, playing out of the rough is fine, but if you're doing it over and over and over, it's going to catch up with you. So I'm going to be very interested to see if Rory does start missing a couple fairways, if these fairways do firm up and start playing a little bit faster. Will he change that game plan at all? Will he back off a little bit, maybe go to a fairway middle, even a long iron, try and find the short grass a little bit more, give yourself a little bit more control into these greens? But it certainly sounds like initially the game plan is going to be very, very aggressive. Go with driver wherever you can, and you know, just try and get it up to as close to the green as you possibly can.
Last year, McIlroy completes the career Grand Slam, comes back and wins the green jacket for a second consecutive year. He's 37 years old. He's a dad. What have you noticed that's different about McIlroy, about his demeanor, about the way he carries himself now that he's reached this pinnacle in his career?
It's a great question, Whitner, and honestly, you know, just listening to him speak, there's kind of a lightness to him. It doesn't feel like there's anything weighing him down, nothing holding him back, nothing heavy. Very, very different from what we hear when a lot of the times we're hearing from John Rahm or Bryson DeChambeau at the moment. But it feels like there's a lightness to him, like he's really enjoying his golf, and he made a concerted effort, you know, last year to start enjoying things outside of golf as well, you know, whether that be go catch a big football game or go to places that he's never been before, or go play golf in places that he's never played before. And he just seems to be in a great spot in his life, you know, in all regards. And it's I think it's a wonderful way to be when you want to play good golf.
Brendon is back with us in our next segment. We'll come back with a look at last year's PGA Championship leaderboard and later notable tee times for Thursday as the chase for the Wanamaker Trophy begins. From Westwood One, this is the PGA Championship tonight.
Third shot for Davis Riley here at the par 4 fifth. This is just outside 40 feet, hitting out of the left rough. Not a lot of green to work with. Trying to play a flop shot. This is going to go past.
Oh, it hit the flag and went in! It hit the flag and went in! Are you kidding me? How about that birdie? Oh, the gallery, the fans in the grandstands are giving him a standing ovation. That might have got about 30 feet past the hole. A 3 from nowhere for Davis Riley to 7 under.
Bill Rosinski on the call at last year's PGA Championship when Davis Riley finished tied for second, his career best at a major. Welcome back to the PGA Championship tonight on Westwood One. Whit Watson with Brendon de Jonge. Let's go back to last year and check out that leaderboard, sponsored by Grainger. For the ones who get it done, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade products for your industry, next-day delivery, and free technical support. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Scheffler won that PGA at Quail Hollow last year by 5 shots, his third major, his first PGA Championship title. 11 under for the week. He was 5 better than Bryson DeChambeau, Harris English, and Davis Riley, who all finished at 6 under. It was a 65 on moving day that did the trick for Scheffler. Birdied 3 of his last 4 holes on Saturday, shot 71 on Sunday. Taylor Pendrith, JT Poston, and Jonathan Vegas tied for 5th last year at 5 under. And then a big group at 4 under tied for 8th last year, 9 players, including Keegan Bradley, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Jon Rahm, who shot 73 in the final round. All right, Brendon, we'll put you on the spot. First of all, maybe some contenders that we haven't talked about yet.
Whit, I really like Ludwig Åberg this week. I feel like he's a guy that we've talked about so much that's ready for these big events. Contended in his first Masters, contended in his first U.S. Open. I like Ludwig this week. I think he's going to be there late on Sunday. Just needs to clean things up a little bit. But another one of those guys, when we talk about discipline and patience, he's very, very patient on the golf course, got a wonderful head on his shoulders. I really do like Åberg. And then I actually like a guy that's playing with him this week is Ricky Fowler. Ricky Fowler's, there's been a nice resurgence in the career of Ricky Fowler. He's got 4 straight top 10s in these signature events, and really contended last week in Charlotte. Made a nice run on Sunday, and I think it would be a wonderful story if Ricky Fowler could win his first major this week.
But who is your favorite? Who are you going to take as the champion this week? Give me one guy.
One guy, I'm going to go with Åberg. I
okay.
Really do. I feel like this is, we watch Ludwig Åberg play, and he's one of the most talented guys out here. And again, as I say, a wonderful head on his shoulders, old beyond his years. And it just feels like he's got the game that's made for these big events.
Brendon, thanks a lot for the time. Enjoy the week in Philly.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for having me.
Let's check out some of the tee times for Thursday, sponsored by USPS. USPS Ground Advantage. They mean business. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more. There are some heavyweight groupings going off in the afternoon on Thursday. Cameron Young, Keegan Bradley, and Justin Thomas at 1:54 p.m. And then Scotty Scheffler, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Justin Rose at 2:05 p.m. Thursday. They'll tee it up on number 1. Some of the 10th tee notables on Thursday at 8:18 a.m. It's Ludwig Åberg, Brendon's pick, with Ricky Fowler and Bryson DeChambeau. 11 minutes later, off the same tee, is Xander Schauffele, Brooks Koepka, and Tyrrell Hatton. The very next group, 8:40 a.m., Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, and Jon Rahm. The first group off number 10 in the afternoon wave at 12:10 p.m. is Michael Block, Rasmus Højgaard, and Dustin Johnson. And a note about the scoring. In 2010 and 2011, the course hosted the AT&T National. The scoring average was over par both of those years. However, at the 2018 BMW Championship played at Aronimink, consistent rain softened the course, allowing the field to attack. The result was a scoring average of 67.88, which was the 4th lowest among 51 courses visited by the PGA Tour this season. As Brendon alluded to, the forecast this week in Philadelphia is pretty good, partly cloudy to mostly sunny. Temperatures expected to rise into the mid-80s on the weekend. If they don't get rain, that would produce the firm and fast Aronimink, just as Donald Ross would have intended. We will step aside, come back to wrap it up in just a moment. You're listening to the PGA Championship tonight on Westwood One.
One last look at the hole for Scheffler. The putter is back and through on its way. He's missed it, but that's okay. He'll go around the hole, collect himself. The king of golf conquers the Queen City at Quail Hollow. Scotty Scheffler is a PGA champion.
Taylor Zarzour on the call last year at the PGA Championship in Charlotte on Sirius XM. This is the PGA Championship tonight on Westwood One. I'm Whit Watson. It is the second of 4 majors for the men in 2026. Scottie Scheffler defending the PGA Championship, one of 2 major titles for the world number 1 in 2025. Part of his historic 6-win season en route to Player of the Year honors. Rory McIlroy could have had that honor. He won the first major of 2026, earned his second green jacket in as many years in Augusta in April after completing the career Grand Slam in 2025. Let's go deeper inside the field as we bring it to a close on the PGA Championship tonight. 156 professionals making up the PGA Championship roster. It is the only all-professional major in golf. 98 of the top 100 players in the official World Golf Rankings are here, including all 16 winners on the PGA Tour this season. 11 members of LIV Golf are in the field at Aronimink, including Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, Dustin Johnson, Martin Kaymer, and Cameron Smith, all former major winners. Rahm and DJ have a chance to win a 3rd different major this week. They've both won Masters and U.S. Opens, but never a PGA Championship or an Open Championship. Speaking of majors, Jordan Spieth is the one player in the field who could complete a career Grand Slam this week. A winner of the Masters and the U.S. Open in 2015, an Open Championship in 2017. He missed the cut at the PGA last year at Quail Hollow. His last win anywhere was 4 years ago at the RBC Heritage. And if local knowledge is your thing, there are 29 players in the field who played at Aronimink when it last hosted a PGA Tour event, the 2018 BMW Championship. That includes Keegan Bradley, who was the winner that week. Justin Rose, Billy Horschel, Xander Schauffele, and Rory McIlroy all finished in the top 5 in 2018, and of course they are all here in 2026. Don't miss a moment with the official PGA Championship app. You can follow all of the action and real-time updates by downloading the app today or visiting PGAChampionship.com. A reminder, you can listen to our coverage of the first round tomorrow starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Time by downloading the Westwood One Sports app or log on to westwoodonesports.com. We'd like to thank our crew producers Nick Pope and Jordan Markovic, coordinating producers Brian Finkelstein and Aaron Cummins. Vice President, Executive Producer is Mike Eby. The Senior VP of Sports for Cumulus Media and Westwood One is Bruce Gilbert. Now, for Brendon de Jonge, I'm Whit Watson. Thanks for joining us. You've been listening to the PGA Championship tonight on Westwood One.